The Search Podcast USA Edition series is sponsored by PGC. PGC are the longest-serving employer of record in North America and can compliantly engage contractors across both the US and Canada on behalf of staffing and recruitment businesses. Our turnkey solution offers a unique access point to the largest staffing market in the world. To find out more, visit us at pgcgroup.com.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Search Podcast. I'm Elliott Manning, Managing Director of Cayman Recruitment in the UK and US. I've got a guest with me today, Roheel from Forsyth Barnes. Previously on the series, I've spoken to Samir and Scott, but Roheel, I'll let you take it away and give us an intro on who you are.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And look, thanks for having me on. Great to be here as well. So like you said, you've spoken to Scott and Samir, so some might be familiar with FB, but for those who aren't, they're a global talent business, pushing 80 heads globally now, offices in London, Knots and New York, and soon hopefully to be in West Coast America as well, sort of LA, Cali type region.
Fantastic.
And then whether it's after or a little bit before, looking at the Dubai market as well. So operating the FinTech, eTail and sports markets currently. Got a lot going on in the business, very ambitious, sometimes too much so. But look, it's worked so far, right? And what we've done as a bootstrapped organisation. So long may it continue.
Fantastic. I mean, look, I've known you guys for like, 8-9 years, I feel like, when you was in an office.
Didn't you? So you've seen the journey.
I've seen the journey. It's been a long time. I've worked with Samir in the past, who's an unbelievable recruiter and is doing some amazing things for you in the States. I think as a business, you guys were standing out amongst the market. In my opinion, as a rhetoric in the industry, as how you managed to deal with things through COVID and how you guys were just portrayed yourselves in the industry so positively. I know that there was a challenge getting yourselves out into the US at the time and a delay, right? Which I think was quite frustrating.
Well, the original plan was to be out there in 2020, which was still ahead of the kind of original sort of timeline, but we thought we could do it then, and then the world went to shit. I mean, I remember laughing at people who were taking home their computers and had like desktop computers sticking out of their backpacks on the train, not realizing that about a week later we'd be doing the same sort of thing. Force and stuff as well. So but look, we managed through it, and then as quick as we could, we got some of the business exemption from the US Embassy. So we then start getting back to US probably sooner than most.
They were quite tough to get hold of those. I ended up getting
one. They were. We had to jump through a few hoops of those.
I was lucky because Trump was in power when I got mine, so it was a lot easier. As soon as Biden came in, it started to tighten up a lot more. But I was one of the fortunate ones, as well as you guys, that could get over there.
Yeah, so we managed to get that. So we're kind of going back and forth a lot. I mean, we have been working the US market since about 2018 in sports and entertainment anyway. But there's always that commitment to be fully invested to really scale something. As opposed to just trying to do it remotely from the UK. And as soon as the embassies opened up, put out people through the process, and 5 people relocated to be the ground team for New York. So
was everyone fighting in the business to get over there? Did you have like a procedure in place or policy to get into the States as a recruiter in the business, or was it?
I think the first thing, you've got the kind of requirements from experience level, right, as to whether realistically they'll be approved in the first place. So I think we did have a few more that we had to kind of put through the lawyer, who then came back and said, look, realistically, you need to give it a bit more time. They're unlikely to get a visa and so on as well. So there were a few more kind of hats in the ring for it. But he also wanted to make sure that there was a progression element for people that we sent out there in terms of their personal careers and the experiences that they get from it too. So sent a brilliant team of people out there. Like I said, you've known Smith for a number of years. He is our longest standing member of FB since the beginning, from 2016 now. He'd gone out there. Grant joined us 2017. So he's gone out there. Kirsch has been with us a good few years. Ben's been with us a good few years. Tom's been with us for a good couple of years as well. So they've seen a hell of a lot of the business change and develop and grow. And now they're at the forefront of doing that in the US, which is hugely exciting. If I was a few years younger, sort of in a different sort of situation, I'd be there with them as well.
100%. I'll be right behind you. Yeah, that's one thing I would have always said. If I ever had the opportunity to be there, I would have loved to have done so, no questions. But look, it's all circumstantial, isn't it? At the same time, but the fact we get to travel there as much as, you know, I'm sure you go there quite a lot. It's also very exciting at the same time.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not a massive fan of flying. I'm just one of those that sits there in my seat for 7 odd hours. If I don't have to get up, I won't, and I'll usually eat next to nothing before the flight and on the flight, so I don't need to go to the toilet or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I love being out in New York. The energy from it. I've moved out of London a few years ago, and I miss London every day.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine, if that's what I get from London, what New York is like with the energy that comes from that place as well. Right. So I love being out there, love being with the guys, seeing new places. I try to walk the streets as much as possible rather than getting a cab or the subway anywhere. I think last time I was out there, we covered over 2 nights. I covered a good 9 miles walking around.
Yeah, it's normal. It's so easy, isn't it? It's just the grid, and you can just get wherever you want.
Pretty much. So yeah, love it. And the weather's getting better out there as well. So yeah.
Exactly. I'm there next week, so I'm looking forward to it. I love it every time I get out there. So
yeah, the week after. So.
Oh, are you? Oh, fine.
Yeah,
what, week of the 12th or?
Yeah, week commencing 12th. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I'm there. But I'm over in Austin mainly. But you know, going to visit the States anyway is very exciting, regardless. Yeah. So maybe I'll see you over there. Maybe you're on the same flight. With regards to what's that?
I need to book it.
Yeah, I always do it last minute anyway. It's a bit of a painful one, but I feel like most people in the industry that have got businesses in the US, you know, anywhere, they always kind of just end up going last minute regardless. They never kind of really plan it out unless it's for an incentive potentially or some sort. But how's this done for the business as a whole? You know, having the US operation, you know, looking to have another site over there, Dubai. What has it done for Forsyth Barnes as a company in general? Is it, you know, done anything from a branding perspective, marketing as an appeal, I guess, from an M&A perspective, or?
Yeah, look, I think if you're looking at the client side, I think it gives us so much greater credibility with businesses on a global scale. So we're a truly global business. Yeah. And being out in across both continents, we're able to service a lot more as well for those global businesses that operate both in the European and the US markets. From an internal perspective, a huge amount of excitement. As I said, we've moved 5 people over there. We've got more people who are putting their hands up for the New York office. In fact, I was late to this with you, right? Just for that exact reason. We ran an incentive to Dubai about a month ago. And it wasn't necessarily on the cards, but I kind of said it in jest in the taxi. And 4 or 5 people would put their hands up and saying, if you're going to open an office here, we're seriously interested. I thought, shit, actually, right, let me do the research and look into the marketplace as well. If there's something viable out here, then it's always something that I've personally been interested in. Yeah. I think there's that greater opportunity and understanding and culture of social mobility across the business and international opportunities across the business as well. Yeah. I think if we'd have tried to move people around it'd been a much bigger thing. But now there's like, you know what, I've got an opportunity in this business to grow, to earn, to progress, to develop my skills, and to move to amazing cities across the world, see different types of cultures. That FB understands that I'm not stuck to that one place for the rest of my life. I could go do 3-5 years in New York. Then I've got people who are then saying, well, do you know what, I wouldn't mind being part of the launch of LA if that's what you're looking at doing. Cool. I've got some people who are looking at doing the US now until Dubai is ready, gives them that international exposure and experience, and then come back and do Dubai. Yeah. Because that's what they really want. I've got people who want to go out there to further their career and accelerate their career, do the US piece. They're more well-rounded and greater experience. They will come back to the UK and we'll see out the rest of their career with us in the UK. Yeah. So there's so many opportunities for people. I also think that there's a real sense of pride of, we work for a growing business. We've done 7 years consecutive growth. Every single year it's been growth, right? 7 years consecutive growth. We're on track for an 8th year of growth as well. Whilst everything else that's happened, the way we're maturing as a business, the org structures we've put in place, the EMI where we've committed to giving 30% of the business, 33% of the business away. Yeah. It's huge, and people can really understand the benefits to them in their careers now as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with regards to this whole US setup in terms of now going over to the West Coast, how has it come about? You know, as a business that's already over there, and there's multiple people that will listen to this that have got US offices or intending to have one. Where did the next step come from to then say, right, we need LA?
So I know conventional wisdom, and look, I'm not sat here saying I'm right, they're wrong, or vice versa. Conventional wisdom is focused on a geography. It's what a lot of businesses and people do. We've never really had that culturally, for right or wrong reasons, where we focused on a single geography.
Yeah.
So right back from 2018, we've been working with clients out on the West Coast, even from the UK, pre us being out there. AEG, who own the Staples Center, for instance, or now the cryptocurrency.com, whatever they've called it now, arena, where the Lakers play. We're working with them from back then. And then we were invited over for the first like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder fight out there, invited to the suite and to the Lakers game the same weekend and so on as well. So it kind of all stemmed from there originally from our sports and entertainment department. Now that we're out in the US, we've got fashion businesses who are located out there, tech businesses out there, more sports clients out there as well. So we've been building that base, knowing that at some point we'll go all in with actually setting up a base of operations out on the West Coast too.
Sure.
So because we know that that's in our roadmap, we haven't kind of necessarily waited to get closer to the time. We've been trying to do it so that it's much more organic or authentic when we are ready to kind of push the button for it out there as well.
Yeah.
And then we're taking trips out there. I was out there a couple of months ago with Samir at a sports conference. And so the whole bit of a bummer for the whole 3 or 4 days we were there, it was the worst weather that they'd experienced in LA for 35 years. Nice. It snowed. Wow. It genuinely snowed in LA in February.
Yeah.
Where I've been out there previously in December, just before Christmas, and it was 20, 25 degrees.
So you wouldn't even feel like you're in LA at that point, I guess.
No, I mean, they were all wearing winter coats. I'm out in shorts and t-shirt and people looking around and it's like, who are these idiots type.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time around it snowed, but still had a good time. Got to see LA. Samir got to see it. New York was always his dream, and he's loved fulfilling that dream. But he's put his hand up and said, "Look, if it means more progression for my career and another bit of experience, I'm open to being one of the lead people for LA as well."
What gives you, I suppose, the need to be in the States as the business owner itself? You know, you and Scott going, why do you feel like you need to be there enough if someone's over there on the ground? Like what is it about that does it for you as a business? You know, because a lot of business owners, don't even go over to the US enough, and they kind of work with their teams. Do you feel like it's about a culture thing, or is it more just because you want to keep an eye? Like what is it?
Let's keep an eye. More make sure that the US office doesn't feel segregated from the UK.
Cool.
Also making sure that my people over there are constantly being developed.
Yeah.
I would think of it as, if I'm not willing to go over, why have I even set up an international business? What was the point if I'm not willing to go over there? I can't sit here, talk about we've got this, we've got that, and I'm not willing to make the sacrifices, because they are in terms of being away from my wife and my kids and home and the rest of my family as well, and the impact that travel has. I can't ask for all the niceties and not be willing to take any of the kind of crap stuff that might come along with it.
Yeah.
But I also, from a mentality perspective, I don't believe that you can be all in and truly scale something special if you're not willing to go all in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's probably my big thing.
Yeah.
Overall, I just don't think you can do something special. Look, you can do something profitable, don't get me wrong, but I don't think you do something special.
No, absolutely. And, I assume you guys, the fact that you've brought people over from the UK, you're emulating and mirroring the same culture that you've got over here.
Yeah, as much as possible, yeah.
Has that been easy? Was that difficult?
Do you know what? I think whatever is easy, those guys have made it easy. I put that down to the team that has moved out there. They've done a fantastic job of it. I think they've been learning a lot as well of the cultural differences. I'm not saying that we're going over to imprint FB in its entirety over there. We've gone over there to start the American FB, if that makes sense. Sure. So make sure that we're integrating to the culture, that we're adapting to the culture of what the US is like. And even state to state, it's different, right?
Yeah.
But we're taking the best parts of FB over there as well, and making sure that we're leaving the market stronger, that we're leaving the people that work in our business stronger at the same time.
Any challenges that you've that's really stuck out, over there that you didn't expect or still quite surprised that you face over as a business owner in the US?
I think we faced some tech issues at the beginning, which was unexpected. I mean, we've been in a WeWork in London, but when we moved to the WeWork there, we had a lot of internet issues, and we need a really strong internet connection for the way our IT systems are set up. We went through a lot of pain at the start on that, which was difficult for the guys to deal with, because then their systems are intermittent and stuff like that as well, which I didn't expect with how strong WeWork usually are at those things as well.
Yeah.
A few little things in terms of cultural differences of like, there was heavy rain one time, and they ended up shutting the whole building down.
Yeah, they've done that.
And it wasn't even actually that bad, but they'd shut the whole building down. You've got, I think, an interview, and we've still got some way to do it this in some respects, but interview, you've got a very different style from people that you're interviewing out there. I think that general thing of they're better salespeople in terms of selling themselves is very true.
Very
so
true.
It becomes a bit harder to kind of sift through that, or you have to probably go a bit deeper to sift through that. But at the same time, I think if you're willing to you're prepared that you will make a few more mistakes on it, and you understand that that's part of the journey, then that's okay. They're all learned.
Am I right in saying that it could take a year or two for a business to really find its feet in the US, and to kind of expect that investment, especially for the first 12 months, not to expect to hire all the right people, get the market straight away? Is it something you faced or not really?
Probably not as long as that. There is a period, don't get me wrong. For us, it was probably closer to 6 months.
Amazing.
Again, I just think every business is slightly different. If I look at working with Grant and Samir the closest, I think as a 3, we just didn't allow ourselves to think in that way.
Yeah.
In a really similar way to COVID. I remember what we went through in COVID, and the way we kind of reacted to what we were in COVID. Rather than, I saw a lot of people who spent a lot of their time complaining about the government response or COVID as a whole, or this or that, and the economy and blah, blah, blah. I think I'd gone back in one group before I got kicked out of the WhatsApp group of, unless you're going to become an MP or you're going to campaign to do something different about it, suck it up, concentrate on what you can actually change and do in your own world, and make sure you're coming out this the strongest. Got kicked out of the group. But it's that kind of thinking, right? Of if everyone, just because everyone else is saying that it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. No, we'll make sure that we're kind of treading our own path. We'll try and learn every lesson that we can learn. But the FB way is to make sure that we're going as strong as possible, that we're not letting the beliefs or the limiting beliefs of others, like, put boundaries around what we can go out and do. So that's probably been one of the reasons why it's been more akin to, say, a 6-month type period than.
Yeah, look, clearly. Well, one other question I had for you before the final one. How are you guys finding adapting to, like, do you have a back office set up over there? How are your guys getting the support that they need with the different time zones? Is it still operated from the UK, or do you have it all set up in the States?
Yeah, so one of the people that moved out there as part of that Go Live team was an operational individual as well. Tom had been in the biz for about a couple of years, done a cracking job in a very short space of time. An office move, a complete office fit out in our Knox office out here as well in this first sort of 18 months, COVID and dealing with all of that and all the IT, because we weren't really set up for it pre-COVID, like remote working, etc., etc. So he'd done a lot in such a short space of time.
Fantastic.
He moved out to the US, so we always made sure that we've got a US presence out there with the guys, who is then able to do terms and compliance. He's very IT minded and like man on the ground for that kind of thing as well. And then other bits around the office. So did really well there. And then for any time that he wasn't there, or if things had kind of come in late or anything like that, or he was busy, then our UK team would pick it up. Or there's been times where we get a message from the guys and Scott and I then jump on at silly o'clock, send a contract out and get that done and so on as well.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what? That's the first time I've ever heard of that. I've spoken to so many companies that have, put their businesses over in the States, and they've never done that. They've never wanted to use their E2 like allocation to put someone over there that's from the UK. And most of the businesses I speak to, they do struggle with a back office function because they can't, it's not sustainable from here to manage that, especially with the hour differences. So yeah, fair play to you guys. That's why your operation's so slick, and it's worked out so well. Which I guess leads me on to the final question, Roheel. Like, what's the plans now for the next quarter this year? Like, where do you see the business going outside of, the move over to the West Coast?
So next immediate plans, I think I was just saying to you before, we've got some more people from the UK have kind of put their hands up to go up and set up another team in the US. We're hiring out there specifically in the US at the moment as well. We've got a senior bod starting in about 2 weeks' time. She's joining our eTail team.
Yep.
So to continue to grow out and scale that, and the guys out there will tell you, we're in a nice WeWork office where we've got plenty of space. We've got 3 internal meeting rooms. But the impatient side of me is how quickly can we outgrow this? How quickly can we be out of it? That's our second office out there already.
Yeah.
But how quickly can we get to the third, because we require the extra space and so on as well? How quickly does it become self-sustaining in a way that, you know, when it comes to a point where the questions are being asked of, do you really need to come out here? Or do you want to lessen your time? If I start getting asked that by Samir and Brian, do you fancy coming out every other month, that type of thing? That's a really good sign of we're ready for West Coast.
Yeah.
So I'll then fill in that time with, yeah, cool, let's go set the West Coast and start moving across that piece as well. So we've got a lot of that going on. We're not far off completing our tech platform that we're building, and we'll probably launch that a lot in that US market, which it will do very well for out there as well, which is a growth enablement platform. There's a hell of a lot going on over these next 6 months, 12 months.
Fantastic. Well, look, if anyone's listening in and would like to learn some more or are interested in Forsyth Barnes as a business, reach out to Roheel, reach out to the team, find out more. Look them up. Your marketing is excellent. You know, the decks that you've created are phenomenal. If anyone wants to see them, I'll send them over to you guys to check out at the same time. But look, I wish you guys all the success still. You know, keep it going. Keep smashing it. That's why I wanted to have you on here again, just to keep talking about the success. I think businesses need to see and take a leaf out, you know, well, just to emulate what you're doing to an extent. And I think they'll see the successes that they need. You know, you guys are doing really well. So look, thank you so much for your time. Loved having you on, mate. And I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Appreciate having me. Take care.